Hiya. I didn't go to weigh-in today because we had to go and do some solicitor stuff, and there's a little cat at the window. See if I can turn it round. Look at the cat. It's peeking in the window. Wants to come in. Can you see it? Come on the other way. It's crawling around. We don't have a cat. It's not our cat. Wants to come in. I can't let it in because you can't let other people's cats in, can you? But I did weigh myself at home today, and I'm 10 stone 5.2. So that's up of a couple of pounds. So what I've been doing recently is, because I've just been, should we say, I'm not going to say struggling, because I've been behaving in the same way as all who've been behaving, but just slightly needing a little extra push. So what I did last week, which is what I do every now and again, is I started measuring my calorie intake on my MyFitnessPal. Now, you gotta hear me out, because I'm not coming away from Slimming World, but what I do every now and again is I use my MyFitnessPal as a way of reminding myself how free and easy Slimming World is, like how forgiving it is, how kind of simple it is to operate. So I know full well that there's a bit of my brain that goes, right, okay, MyFitnessPal, let's see how many calories and such, maybe that'll be an easier way. But I know from my experience over the time that all that happens is I do my MyFitnessPal for about 3 days, then the novelty wears off and it becomes more complicated, and I'm not sure quite how much that was in calories, I don't know, blah blah blah, and all these things happen, and suddenly I'm not using it anymore. And now I'm back to recognising that Slimming World, I mean, this is always something I believe anyway, so it's not like it, but it just helps me remind, just a little reminder, Slimming World is a very free and easy plan to use. Now, what happens with my MyFitnessPal is that on there, my normal day-to-day stuff looks carbohydrate heavy, which is why last week I said I'm going to focus on just bringing up my protein a little bit and increasing my fats, making sure that my Healthy Extra Bs are nuts, because there's plenty of fibre in the rest of what I'm having, but I just need to make sure that I've got the nuts and the olives. The kids come home. Maybe. Maybe not. Yeah, that was so that's what I decided I was going to do. So I was going to increase those. So what I've realised is that well, I re-realise these things because I know these anyway, but what's brought home to me again is the fact that Slimming World, the way it operates is it allows you to have food in the background. It allows you to live your life without it being all-encompassing. It allows you to make a meal knowing that you can just eat what you like of it, eat your fill. You don't have to think, okay, well, I've measured out 100 calories worth of this, so I may as well eat it, and what about if I want to leave some? Or it allows you to think, okay, as long as my meal is food optimized, I can just eat whatever I want of it. I think you still have to be careful with how much fats you're having, and you need to make sure that you are having some good fats in your diet, but that's easily done within your SIN allowance and in your Healthy Extra B. That's not a problem. Now, the other thing that's beneficial about Slimming World is it doesn't ordain to suggest to you what you should and shouldn't be eating, and that allows you to make the choices yourself, because there's some, for example, all sorts of people have all sorts of needs. Some people are allergic to nuts, some people are allergic to seeds, some people are allergic to bananas, some people, I don't know, need a more amount of protein because they're building muscle, or so there's all sorts of different varieties of different ways in which we need to use our food. And Slimming Well gives a framework which we can all use with how we want. And I think because of that, because the combination of being able to eat how we want according to our own lives, and how the twists and turns of life happens, and according to our own eating disorders and such, so that we can maybe we are aware of our own trigger foods and etc. like that. And because of all of that, it means it's sustainable. Now, one of the things that I'm very aware with MyFitnessPal is that, again, it's a very useful tool to really kind of get to grips with what food you're eating, etc. But one of the things it really does is the novelty wears off so super fast, for me anyway. I mean, I can't. And so that's why I think Slimming World works for me, because the novelty doesn't need to wear off. The habits that are formed over time are stable now. I can do about 3 or 4 days of MyFitnessPal before I'm like get distracted and need to do something else. Whereas I can always choose to eat fruit if I need a snack. I can always base my food around potatoes or pasta or spaghetti or rice. I can do that. That's not complicated. And the benefit is, I was saying, because the benefit of making the habits into a safety net of the strands, each strand you make of a habit, you can just keep, even if you accidentally dip down and go, okay, well, I've eaten too much of this or whatever, or I've not allocated my right amount of sins, or I've got distracted and I forgot I had them earlier, or there's all sorts of different things you can have. All you need to do is just create another strand in the safety net, and having that level to bounce back onto allows it all to be something that you can carry on with. And I think I understand a bit more about the Slimming Well, the lifestyle thing, the food optimizing thing. It turns it into not something that has a novelty factor that can wear off. It turns into something that you just naturally choose those things. And I think I'm very aware that I dropped my target to 10 stone 3 a little while back. I can't remember exactly how many, but it might have been a month, 2 months. I can't remember exactly. But I know I've stayed within that target. I'm 10 stone 5.2 today on my own scales, but I didn't go to groups, so I don't know on their scales. But I was likely to be like, shall we say 10 stone 4, 10 stone 5, that sort of thing. So I'd lost 2.5 the week before I put 2 on, let's say. I'm still in my target bracket. And so having the ability to go week on week on week, I'd struggle sometimes, go over sins sometimes, completely think, right, well, I don't even know what I'm doing. I'm just going to food optimize and just leave it at that. I'm not counting anything. I don't know what I did or why I did it, or my brain fell out and I don't really know what I'm doing, but I'll just food optimize, I'll just think, well, that's free, that's speed, that's, even, I think that's the thing, you see, even at the worst of times, even if the hardest bits, I can still food optimize. And I'm not saying that I stick to my healthy extra Bs or sins, or I don't necessarily every single day manage to do it perfectly where I'm hitting my all the stuff I count. I don't necessarily do. I do that on an easy day when life is going well and easy and I can concentrate and I can think of plan, etc. But because I've got just a general plan of what I generally do each week, I can just fall back onto it. I've got a nice safety net. But the food optimizing side of things, for me, works really well. So I know if I snack on speed food, life's a bit easier. So it means I make sure I've got plenty of tangerines and apples in. And I make sure that if I'm eating a meal, it's made up of free and speed foods. And I try and make sure I've got a bit of protein in there. But I'm not too... I often say about the fact that, like, the job I do, running the shop and such, I have to set things up in my own environment, all my kind of policies and such, and all of my bits and paper and everything I keep. It's all very well and good if it runs smoothly when it's easy. That's fine, but it also needs to run smoothly when I'm ill or on my period or had a really difficult customer or just feeling scared or depressed or lonely, or it needs to still work then. And I think that's why Slimming World works, because it works when I am at my wit's end. It works when I'm scared. It works when I'm worried. It works when I'm upset. It works when I bingey. It works when I comforty. It works when I'm in a new environment and I don't have control over the food. It works in all of those situations, because yes, in the worst of times I might not have counted my sins and I might not have known whether I've had my healthy extra B's or A's, but I know that all I have to do is food optimize, savvy sins, I keep away from my trigger feeds, and I make sure that if I'm having some sins, I have a bit of speed food with it or free food with it. I try and make sure I'm having my breakfast, lunch and dinner, and it all works. And because it balances itself out, and I'm not putting weight back on, and that's how I can be confident that I will be able to do this for the rest of my life, because I'd be surprised if I go through much worse. I don't want to wish it upon myself, but I think obviously you can have horrible things happen to you in a variety of different ways, but I reckon I've built up enough security now, enough safety net to know that I won't turn to food anymore. Well, should we say I won't solely turn to food. I've built up enough coping strategies in a variety of different ways that mean that no matter what happens, I've found alternatives. I'm in a good place right now. Yes, life's tough, and yes, it's hard. Yes, it's stressful, but I'm in a good mental place. And I know that I can, I've kept it going now for, I don't know how long I've been at Target, maybe 2 years, I think, 2000 and, what we are now, so I think I'm a year and a half, I think now. I think it would be, I think I am. I can't remember exactly. I have to look in my book to see when I first hit my first target of 11 stone. And I think, and I've not done it perfectly. I've not done it perfectly by any means. It's been really hard. It's been struggles. But it must work, because I'm still here. I'm still at this weight. And I even got the ability to drop myself down a few pounds. And I'm still there. So I think, so it's been really good to redo my MyFitnessPal, because I've got through the process. And I know I'll use it again. I know that, obviously I'm back, I don't do MyFitnessPal at the moment. I've left that be now. It'll be there as an app on my phone. And I know that maybe in 4 or 5 months, when I'll start to go, I wonder what else there could be, I'll use my MyFitnessPal and I'll log all my things, and then I'll remind myself how lucky I am to be on a plan that works. That's just the cycle it goes round. I can't remember how many times I've been at. I think it was 3 or 4 times I've done that cycle. And this time round, I was very conscious. I told my partner, I said, I'm going to start using MyFitnessPal again now, because I know that at the other end of it, once I've done my cycle and my novelty's worn off, I'll be grateful that I'm doing Slimming World, just to prove to myself that I've got lucky. I've got it good where I am at the moment. So that's I'm still keeping some, still got my weekly plan that I just keep to. I'm going to have to just have a little reassess, because I know that the protein isn't quite high enough. So I've got to bring some cottage cheese back into my diet and stuff like that. But it'll all be spaced around the same foods. Right, I'm going to go now, because I think the kids are going to be back soon, because it's coming up to 6. Yeah, 3 minutes to 6. So I'm going to say goodbye, and I'll upload, and I shall see you all next week. Bye.